The Peacemakers is a new piece I've written. I can't remember the initial kind of genesis of it all, but it was an idea to write a piece of music where the words are about peace. So the idea slowly came into being that I might be able to use the words of iconic peacemakers. So the obvious names came to mind: Mandela, Gandhi, Dalai Lama, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, and those are probably the most famous ones. I wanted some representation from the kind of Abrahamic religion, so the Bible is there, the Qur'an, and there's some Hebrew as well. Some Shelley was quoted, Shelley the poet, and Mallory. And then there were four kind of ancients. There's a Rumi, who was a Persian mystic poet, Baha'ya, who was 19th century, Baha'i faith, Bishop Seraphim Osarov, who was a Russian monk, and there was one other, St. Francis of Assisi. The other choir that appears on two of the movements is the really big chorus.
Today we rolled up all our members to St. Mark's Church in Hamilton Terrace, around the corner from here.
So all that really matters, apart from making a wonderful sound and eventually cumulatively being 1,000 voices, is that it's absolutely metronomically together. So that is the challenge.
How many? Yes, that's a good number. No more, just the ones who put their hands up. Because we've got to make this magic 1,000 voices out of this session.
So we decided to record them at Abbey Road, and our aim was, there's no sonic reason for this, I suppose, but the aim was 1,000 voices because it sounds so grand and it's like a marker, you know. So we did get there eventually. They couldn't all get in the room, although it's a massive space. We recorded them in shifts of 200, roughly 200 a time. There are two choirs involved, both directed by Simon Halsey, who runs the Rundfunkchor Berlin, Norwich, one of the great choirs in the world, and also the CBSO, City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra Youth Chorus. Rundfunkchor Berlin was fantastic, they're incredible, and we went over to Berlin to record them. They were formed pre-war, and at the end of the war they found themselves in East Germany, and then the war came down and their reputation has grown.
I'm performing in the piece called Solitude, which is a sort of instrumental interlude, as it were. I believe it's in the middle of the piece, so that's what I'm doing, and it's such a wonderful piece.
apart from looking outside the works like Requiem of Mother for text, outside the strictly Christian, I always look for instrumentation as well, particularly percussion, ethnic percussion. And there's one special track with Davy Spillane. He's a very well-known Irish Uilleann pipe player. He plays Uilleann pipes and tin whistle that I use on a track called Healing Light, which is, they call it Gaelic Blessing. And I set it in this kind of Celtic rhythm feel thing with bodhrán drums, and that's quite iconic and very evocative. Some of the movements I've tried to evoke the place where they might have, where the kind of person come from. The Gandhi was an obvious example, because apart from Ashwin on the bansuri flute, there's some tabla drumming. On Inner Peace, which is the Dalai Lama, there's some shakuhachi, Japanese flute, which is, I know he's Tibetan, but it's a Buddhist instrument. The Peacemakers have been premiered in New York again, I say again, but I've just come back from New York. We did the Alman Mass of Peace on 9/11, on the very day of the 10th anniversary of the tragedy, in Lincoln Center, New York, to a full house, and a fantastic ovation at the end, which was hugely humbling and gratifying. And Jessie Norman was along. She did some narration for me, which is great, being a native New Yorker. So that was a very, as I say, emotional trip. So I'm only too glad to be going back there to do the premiere in Carnegie Hall in January.